Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. Today I want to show you my most recent project, which is a Frostblade deck stacking, kind of frenzy stacking Frostblade Raider. Oh, that's a lot of words. Yeah, this is actually the first time that I'm trying like dex stacking, or at least stat stacking build. And I also like have 11 frenzy charges, which is the maximum that you can have at the moment. Still, Frostblades is a very nice clearing skill. I had a lot of fun doing that. I cleared off like all of my Nico, Yun, Zana, and so on. I'm currently on the high tier Alver to finish off all the Atlas objectives here, still missing like 200 of those. So I was playing with this build the last 3 days, and it's actually super fast and enjoyable. But since we know that there's a problem with boss DPS on Frostblade, so all the skills that are usually having an insane amount of clearing speed, they usually lack a bit of boss DPS, and it's kind of the same on this build. But we're gonna run one map here. I would say let's go for a Minotaur map, I guess. But on this point, I did every single Guardian, Uber Guardian, like everything there is in the game, deathless. So Elder Reflect is probably not what I want to do. So Elemental Resistance. God, I don't want to make the build look worse than it is, okay? So this is not like a hard Minotaur or something, but still, you're gonna get the idea how this build looks like. So, first of all, I do want to mention something very important. And now, open your ears, because this is important, okay? I'm running 11 Frenzy Charges. Means I have 2 Precursor Rings with +1 Frenzy Charge. They are currently going for about 20, 25, 30 exalts just to have +1 Frenzy Charge, okay? Don't worry about that one, because a Frenzy Charge will give me a bit of damage, a bit of movement speed, and what else does a Frenzy Charge give me? A bit of evasion, a bit of attack damage, okay? So you're just gonna compare, okay, mbX spent like 60 exalts buying 2 of those rings, and in the end, I just get a bit of movement speed and a bit of damage. This is nothing that is build enabling or anything of that kind, okay? If you get like an Assassin's Mark ring and the Elder Steel ring, you're probably gonna have the same DPS or maybe a little bit less, but there is a way less investment, okay? Because I know that there are a lot of people, when they see me playing with a Headhunter, for example, they're like, oh my god, he has a Headhunter, I don't have a Headhunter, this build is unplayable, okay? That's why I want to state this before anything else. Okay, so now that we have that out of the way, we're just, yeah, using Frostblade, which is quite fast. I think I have like 230% movement speed to 13 at the moment with this character, so it is quite fast. The clear speed is super nice, with also an anointed skill tree that you, or at least a skill point that you cannot get naturally, okay? So, most important thing here for single target, you need totems, okay? We have both. We have an Ancestral Protector and the Vaal Ancestral War Chief. So usually you can only have 1 totem active, but if you have the Vaal Ancestral War Chief, then you can have 2 of those totems active. So the Protector and the War Chief, and this will boost your damage quite insane. In mapping, if there is like a hard-hitting, or at least like a very tanky guy, I usually just pop my the Protector here, and I want to keep the Vaal stack. Actually, I do have 2 of those. I could use them. It's just like the one that is jumping around. Do I have an alchemy? No, I don't. Fuck this. It's actually quite a fun thing to do, but I really want to keep them for the actual single target DPS, and I rather have 2 stacks for a Guardian than 1 to less, okay? But yeah, so as you see from the mapping speed, it's super enjoyable. We have a lot of evasion, we have phase acrobatics, so there's a lot of dodge going on here, and spell dodge, so it's not like the tank, it's not like you can wait to phase tank everything. So let's take a look. So I set here my first totem, I let him jump, set here my second, popping flasks, and then just yeah, kind of burn him down. Make sure that you stay away when he's like going under the ground. But still, I don't want to risk it, like getting hit too hard. But as you see, the damage is there, kind of. Oh wait, he's getting underground once more, but here's that. But as you saw, the boss damage itself is not at the top of the top, okay? I know there is builds that do like millions of DPS, but this is like an experimental character. that I was playing around with. And I want to talk about this one in specific here, what I tried to do and yeah, whatnot. So basically, we're going to start off with the base idea, okay? I saw these rings here with the cold damages, extra chaos, frenzy, charge, and movement speed. So what is the best thing to do if you have a lot of frenzy charges? You're probably going to go Raider because you're going to benefit from the ascendancy points here, right? Evasion rating, movement speed, attack damage with the rings, more movement speed, more cold damage, and so on. So usually cold, or at least like Raiders, they are starting here, Rangers start point, you have the cold conversion. So I know with those frenzy rings, I saw them on the market, I was like, I want to play with these. I want to have a max frenzy character, and this is what it turned out to. Just from the base idea why Frostblade's Raider in this case, right? So how do I get 11 frenzy stacks here, right? 3 is natural, then you have 1, 2, and 3 on the skill tree itself, makes it 6. 1 from the ascendancy makes it 7. Then you have 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so if you're missing those rings, you probably have 9 frenzy charges, which is still way more than you actually need or something. But I still said like, hey, I want to do a max frenzy character. So the next thing is, I also wanted to build in something that I usually never use, and this is stat stacking, which means dexterity. So I have this, I crafted this foil here, just alteration spamming, you know, and you get this adds 2 to 4 cold damage, this weapon per 10 dexterity. You also have the fractal thoughts, which says multiplier of dex is higher than intelligence, which is, yeah, obviously the case here. Then we have increased elemental damage per 10 dexterity, and also life per 10 intelligence, and increased dexterity if strength is higher than intelligence, which is also the case. So there is a little bit more tweak in this whole build. And it's far from perfect, okay? It's far from perfect. But I still want to give it a go, see like how easy it is to do deck stacking at all, right? And this is what you need. There is an amulet that says like 12% increased attributes. Then you have a chest that has attributes, right? And there is a belt that I currently have here that is not even applied yet. This has like another, I think with the tier 1 roll, it's also 10 to 12% increased dexterity, or at least attributes, right? If I get this one in, I have like almost 1,000 dexterity, which is insanely high damage. But playing with so many uniques, you know, and really focusing on certain amounts of attributes, for example, you're gonna lack a shitload of resistance. And that's why I don't play with a increased attributes belt, because I could not craft this with enough resistance. So I use like a typical life resistance that I bought for like 15 chaos or something, just to cover my resistance, and I'm not even maximum res kept on my lightning resistance yet. But still, I found out this is actually quite a enjoyable way to play. I know a really full deck stacking build should be better. I know that maybe even focusing not on deck stacking and get some other gear going could also work, but I just said like, hey, why not just try it? Let's see how it works, and this is the final outcome. Okay, so let's talk about the gear. As I said, for the deck stacking, it's nice to have a fractal thoughts because we are fully cold conversion, right? We have like the Frostblade itself gives you already 60% fizz to cold, and then you have those 2 skill points here, which is the weapon cold damage and the Winter Spirit, which has 20% fizz to cold, and 20% fizz to cold is 40 plus 60, 100%. So if we tooltip here, we have only cold damage here. And cold damage is an element. Oh wow, nice information, mbX. And so the dexterity elemental damage increase is there. You're also going to make sure, as I said before, that your dexterity is higher than intelligence, and that your strength is higher than intelligence as well, to get the multiplier, to get the 15% increased dexterity, to get the elemental damage just going really nice here. I have here Herald of Ice, Onslaught, Person Hit, and the Assassin's Mark. As I said, if you don't want to have those rings or whatever, then you're just going to use Shaped Assassin's Mark on hit ring. And instead of going Avatar of the Whale, you're going to go Avatar of the Chase, so you get even more movement speed out of that Onslaught thing. But since I don't really have access, because my ring slots are blocked, I choose to go with the Avatar of Whale, just to be res immune, you know, elemental ailments immune, like freeze immune and so on. Okay, perfect. Next one is the weapon. As I said before, this is just like an Imperial Claw, which gives you life gained for each enemy hit by your attacks. And since we're having quite a nice attack speed with multi-strike, we're gonna get a lot of like leech and life gained on hit per attack. The rest what I did here is just a typical physical form. increased fist damage, flat fist, attack spell, crit strike chance. And you might wonder now, wait a second, you're focusing fully on cold damage, so why the fuck do you got physical damage on your weapon? And this is, Frostblades is still a physical attack, okay? It is a physical attack that converts the physical damage into cold. So if I scale my physical damage, I also scale my cold damage. And I did this one in Path of Building, also removing the physical damage and just add like cold damage and stuff, but I had less DPS than with this kind of weapon. It's not really hard to get, you just alteration spam, then Regal and Nulov, and then multi-mod it right away, and this is the weapon that I used in the showcase as well. I'm having here Walling Blades, faster attacks, and Fortify, just for, yeah, Fortify if for bosses, and you just like use it as a movement skill next to your insane movement speed. For the shield, resistance, dude. I was lacking so much resistance that I just sorted shields by resistance. I needed like, I don't know, like 70 or 80 fire resistance to get capped, and this shield currently has 16 all resistance, 43 fire, which is like 50, 60, 70 something percent fire resistance to get my resistance going. So if I unequip this one, you see how my resistance looked like when I was finishing with the weapon craft. I was like, holy shit, how are we gonna fix that? But I found this shield like 20 chaos or something, just max resistance to get me ras capped. As I said, if you would skip the dex stacking and you can get resistance on your Amulet, what you can also get, but if you're dex stacking, you're focusing other stats, you know, you're focusing increased attributes over everything else, okay, as well as on the chest here, I have dex and increased dex multi-modded, okay, just to have more and more dex, because dex is damage and dex is, yeah, everything else as well. Because usually, if you say like, okay, I need life resistance, it's a typical rare item, you know. You focus on this kind of stats. You want to have an amulet with a lot of resistance. Mine doesn't even have resistance, so that's why it's even harder. Both my ring slots give me only 60 cold resistance combined. No lightning, no fire resistance. So with this kind of build that I choose to try to play here, it was kind of a mess to get resistance going, and that's why I did not went all in here, okay? Just for the explanation. Here I have Summon Ice Golem, Frost Bomb, and Cast Damage Taking. Level 1 here, level 10, and level 3. So we're gonna proc everything with the Cast Damage Taking, which is quite nice. Then for the chest, as I was explaining, dex stacking. You get this one on an Elder base. I choose an Assassin's Garb for the increased movement speed. I think the best dex base, I think, is the... what was the name? I forgot. Never mind. But there is one base that is actually better, but this one has increased movement speed as the implicit, so I was like, hey, I want to go fast, so let's take this base. Just chaos spammed and searching for increased attributes and then see, and then I found this one, so it was quite nice. I have here Frostblades, elemental damage with attacks, Ruthless, then Ice Bite, Hypothermia, and Multi-Strike. And guess what? With 11 Frenzy Charges, Ice Bite is the best damage support on this. One thing that I want to make sure, because you're gonna see this probably in other Frostblade guides here, I have Ruthless here, and usually you have Ruthless for boss DPS and you have Ancestral Call for farming, because it will help your clear speed quite a lot. But I have here the Tribal Fury Anointed. This is something that does not exist on a tree, okay? It is here. So if I don't have that one, you're not gonna see it. And if you open your Path of Building here, I'm gonna show you something. There are here points that are not on the skill tree, but what you can anoint, okay? So every on the whole cluster here, there is points that you can get, but you don't see them, okay? One of those is Tribal Fury. And Tribal Fury says, strike skills target one additional nearby enemy. That's the same as Ancestral Call. Ancestral Call will strike 2 additional enemies. So this is a half Ancestral Call, but therefore I can still run the Ruthless, my actual single target damage, and still with the Tribal Fury I have a pretty nice clearing speed as well, because I have a half Ancestral Call in as well, okay? So I don't have to worry about switching gems at all, which is quite nice. And you get this for, yeah, 1 opalescent, silver, and 1 gold, so it's not really cheap, but in terms of quality of life, not swapping gems and still have a pretty good or amazing clear speed, it's worth the money to me. Okay, what's next one? Shaper's Touch. Increased melee fist per 10 dexterity. Since we're dex stacking, that gives us a lot of melee physical damage, and we also get a lot of life cost, 1 life per 4 dexterity, which is quite nice, I would say. If you have the currency plus 1 frenzy charge, you're not even too expensive. I think 2 exalts on this one, or 3 exalts, so it's not like it's a Tomb Fist. Sorry, Tomb Fists with 1 Frenzy Charge that go life of 20-25 exalts. No, they are not too expensive because a lot of people, when they do Shaper, they get gloves. And what do they do with the gloves? Yeah, fuck these gloves, valid, you know, so they do exist. And just make sure that you can change corrupted items. So if I go here and pay the same amount of Val Orbs, I can just say like 3 sockets, for example. Or at least like 3 red sockets, and it will be 120 chromatics plus 120 Val Orbs, okay? So if we're gonna check this here, you see, so you can still change the socket amount, you can change the colors, you just gotta make sure that you pay the same amount of Val Orbs together with the other currency. So don't worry if you're finding a nice pair with +1 Frenzy Charge for like 50 Chaos, because you can still make it 4 link, okay? So just to make sure if you didn't know that. I have here Cast 1 Image Taking, Immortal Call, Flame Dash, and Blood Rage. So Flame Dash is level 2, level 9, so it's higher than the actual range of Cast 1 Image Taking, which is 38, so I can still use it. And why do I use Flame Dash when I have Rolling Blades? Just for gap closing, okay? There is sometimes you cannot close gaps with Rolling Blade, so sometimes you really have to Rolling Blade, Flame Dash over an obstacle and then keep on Rolling Blading, okay? So that's why I have this one in here. For the boots, Dark Ray Vectors, because they give you 1 max Frenzy Charge and movement speed per Frenzy Charge. They don't have life, but they do at least have some resistance and also a chance to dodge attack hits, which is quite nice as well. So remember, you have 9 Frenzy Charges, or in my case 11 Frenzy Charges, is 55% movement speed on those boots. It's better than the 7 league steps actually, so that's actually quite nice. Here I have Ancestral War Chief, the Ancestral Protector, as I said, Protector for usual scenarios, and the Val Ancestral War Chief for actual single target DPS. The big thing is not the totems do the damage, but they buff me, okay? So the Ancestral War Chief will give me 32% more melee damage, okay? And Frostblade is a melee skill, so 32% more melee damage. And the Protector will give me 19% more attack speed. You're gonna see here when I just use Frostblades, the attack speed. Now with the totem, you actually see in Hideout, without Frenzy Charges, this is a massive difference in attack speed here. And here I have Precision level 1 and Hatred. So Hatred obviously as a cold build, and Precision because of the extra accuracy and critical strike chance. And I currently have a total of 100% chance to hit here, which is, yeah, all you want to have, I think. Alright, so let's talk about the Amulet. As I said, and shaped base for the increased attributes. I chaos spammed this one, I got lucky here with the movement speed and crit strike chance and dexterity, which is super nice, but no resistance. This is the only downside here. For the belt, if you have the money for it, go with an Elder belt and try to get the increased attributes as well. I could not get my resistance on it, so I just have a typical belt with just life and resistance, nothing else. So, okay, this explains the gear setup that I'm wearing. Then I have a life flask with bleed immunity, a diamond flask with a freeze immunity, because I was still like switching around with Chase and Veil. So if you have the avatar of Veil, you cannot get frozen, so this is... don't have to do that, okay? But I was just like playing around with different setups, even with the Herald of Ice, Curse and Hit setup, Onslaught. So I said like, well, if I can proc Onslaught with the Herald of Ice for mapping, I don't really need Avatar of Chase, you know. But usually you want to go Avatar of Chase and run a Freeze Immunity Flask, which is quite fine here. Then Taste of Hate, one of the nicest flasks for damage mitigation, also fizzes extra damage here. Then we have an Atiris Promise, fizzes extra chaos, alias extra chaos, count both because it's actually a physical skill and with a physical weapon that is converted, so you get double the chaos damage here. And a Quicksilver Flask to move even faster. Check. Let's take a look at the skill tree. As I said ascendancies before, I focused the Avatar of Slaughter first because of the frenzy stacking. And then we have Quartz Infusion, Avatar of Veil. What I said, it's better to remove those points and take them in an Avatar of Chase. You will be faster and do a bit more damage here and just get a Freeze Immunity Flask and you should be fine, okay? So, and here, yeah, it's Path of Building link is in the description below if you want to check this one out. The only thing that's important here is the threshold tools that give you cold penetration and also projectile speed. You can run 2 of those. I'll run 1 here and 1 on the bottom side here. Then just frenzy charges all over the place, life, dexterity stacking, important notes here, those 3 that gives you 8% increased dexterity. The rest is just LE damage, life, LE pen, face aggro, and one thing here that I added here because I just want to have a lot of skill points to get here my crit cluster going on the shadow starting area is an intuitive leap to get the resistance plus 1 cold resistance, then Heart Seeker, we have the Acuity for accuracy and the life and the frenzy charge. So it's like 5 points here that I skill with the intuitive leap, and in the end I save 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points. Actually, I think even 6 points I save, and I could get up here and get in the assassination and even more life here. So that's a quite nice thing to do as well. As I said, path building link is in the description below. Let's take a look at the cosmetics. No, let's take a look at the Pantheons first. Or at least for the bandits, I helped Alira. It's a crit build, so we're gonna have the all resistance and the multiplier. For the Pantheons, I just did a couple like Uber Elder. I used Solaris and Yugal for Uber Elder, and for mapping I would probably use Lunaris and then Grudkul maybe. So Pantheons is not like always so important. I just say like bossing, mapping, okay? Bossing, mapping. And here, Yugal is something for Uber Elder, reduce cold damage taken if you upgrade your Yugal, which is quite nice to do and quite easy. So, let's take a look at the transmog here. I have the Sentinel set complete, then Void Wings, Transcendent Dagger with the Sentinel weapon effect, the Synod Innocent Shield, Celestial character effect and footprints, and the Transcendent Portal effect. Here I have the Stygian Frostblades, the Phantasm Whirling Blades, then the Clockwork Golem, Frostbomb doesn't have one, then the Herald of Ice, Celestial effect, Dark Immortal Call, Flame Dash doesn't really have, now it has the Wasteland effect, pretty pog dude. Blood Rage, while Unstable Warchief doesn't have anything, Monolith Aura effect and Celestial Aura effect. Celestial is the with the boss, and Monolith is the one that you got from last league but cannot get anymore. Check. I think we're pretty much done with the build. As I said, I was trying out something different. Frenzy stacking never done before, deck stacking never done before. Probably should have decided in one path basically to make it really good. And I probably would say that the non-dex stacking version with a Farris 4 would actually be better. And this is what I'm probably gonna play around in the next couple of days maybe. Because there is one big thing that is a little bit disappointing on the bossing here, okay? On Guardian or anything like that, and you're gonna see it, or did see it on the Uber Elder footage, or at least I'm gonna post the Uber Elder footage at the end here. You're gonna see I used the boots, the Relicash boots, to get up Frenzy stacks before the boss encounter. So even though we are a Raider and we are getting Frenzy charges on hit, or at least like a chance on hit, when you hit a rare or unique enemy, stacking up 11 or 10 or 9 Frenzy charges on a boss like Shaper does take time. Okay, you have to imagine it like that. I run a Minotaur map. I have 11 Frenzy charges when I get to the boss. And having 11 Frenzy charges is more than 1,000,000 DPS difference. Okay? So, you're starting the Shaper fight without anything. You're starting the Uber Elder fight without anything. You're even starting every Guardian fight without any Frenzy charges. So, since we're not like a Berserk with like 20 attacks per second, and even with the Totem, as I said, you have like what, 20% chance to gain when you hit a unique enemy. That means every 5th attack you're gonna get a charge, right? So even though we're having, let's say, 5 attacks per second, means like I get a charge every second. With Blood Rage and other stacks and so on, my attack speed increases obviously, but still, I probably need 6 seconds roughly to get all my Frenzy charges and do my actual DPS, okay? So there is a big problem here. I want to burst down an enemy, right? And if I need 6 seconds to get up my Frenzy charges going to move my actual damage, that sucks, you know? So there's 2 solutions. Either you're taking those Relicash boots and just equip them as I did on the Uber Elder run that you're gonna see in a second, and wait, and then move in your boots and start the fight, or the better version would be actually a Farris 4, because Farris gives you always the maximum number of Frenzy and power charges, even in hideout, okay? So you're always gonna have your max Frenzy charges. And I think this is probably the better solution than the deck stacking variation. But still, I want to show you guys, or at least want to show you guys what I came up with a deck stacking Frenzy character. And I gotta say, I love Frostblades. It's insanely fun to play and is also viable for Uber Elder. So guys, Thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed this video, and see you in the next video. Hi Russell.
Putrefy, rot, spoil, and fester.
Exile, do something!
Into the abyss.
Hello, will you please face transition? What the fuck? Thank you. Hey, wait, he's still... Wow, I'm so bad at planning the... He's actually phase transitioned. I was like, holy shit, can you fucking spawn your portals? But no, he's legit not doing it. He's just like, ah, mbX, you know what? Fuck off, dude. You fuck will die, no? Ah! Ah! Oh boy. Okay. They're just trolling me. Like, then out of season April's full joke. That's it? This